Building $1 million company is almost impossible to do alone. I see entrepreneurs every single day, especially online, trying to do everything themselves. They're the CEO, the marketer, the sales rep, the customer success, the operations, the damn janitor. And while they might make $10,000, $20,000, even $50,000 a month, they hit a ceiling every single time because ultimately there's only 24 hours in a day. So here's the thing. Every single multi-million-dollar company has one thing in common. They have the right people in the right seats doing the right thing. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact roadmap that I used to go from $0 solopreneur to over $1 million in less than 10 months. I'm talking about every single position that you need to hire, the time frame, when to hire them, how to hire them, and why this person before the next. Giving it to you in the exact order and what to look for. So if you're a business owner or entrepreneur, and right now you find that hiring and scaling is one of your biggest caveats, not knowing who to hire, when to hire, or where to hire them from, watch to the end of this video and I'll give you the exact framework so you can do this starting today. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, you typically start here, right? You're alone. You have an idea, you're really good at what you do, you want to make some money, and you think that you can help people. So you go ahead and you start that business. You get incorporated, get a bank account, and now you have a business, kind of. When you start alone, everything is on you. You're the visionary, you're the operations, you're the CEO, finance, you name it. But ultimately, that's not a business, right? That is a really low-paying, high-demanding job that you didn't sign up for. Well, you did, you just didn't know it at the time, right? Your goal is to set the foundation, going from 0 to 100,000. I will tell you from first-hand experience, the first $100,000 is almost always going to be the most difficult. The first million, also the most difficult. And from there, it kind of becomes easier because you have what we're about to talk about is the people and the systems to make it replicable. How can I go from $0, which is inception, to $100,000, which is proof of concept, right? Who's going to pay me for my stuff? So right now we're going to focus on the foundation. The two most strategic hires that most startups need to make, and if they don't, they fail. I think it's about an 85 to 95% rate, I know it's a broad range, of entrepreneurs that fail their first time specifically because they don't know who to bring on. Not because they have lack of ideas or lack of marketing or lack of sales, but because they can't do it all themselves. So they either get burnt out or the clients leave and churn gets almost 100% because they can't fulfill. So we're going to go from there and I'm going to show you how to get to the revenue engine. After that first 100K and you brought on the team, now they're expecting to scale and you're anticipating the same. What are the two most strategic hires to enhance and scale the revenue engine that you need to go from proof of concept to actual business? Then we'll go into management. Now that you've proved concept, created the business, you now have 4 or 5 hires, you are now on to the point where you need someone to help you step up in the company and turn it into a 7-figure business. This is where I will show you the 2 most strategic management hires that you can make. Following that, the executive team. Arguably the most important, yet the most difficult and challenging to hire because the talent pool is so much smaller. Where do you find them? How do you look for them? What to look for? And how much do you pay them? And then eventually, how you can become what inevitably is the $1 million CEO. Let's start with the foundation, shall we? The first hire that I ever made, I think I was 21 years old. It was a virtual assistant. And that virtual assistant was from India. He stayed with me for like 7 years almost. He did everything from my inbox management, my calendar management, admin. Eventually became my lead media buyer because that's what he was learning. It was a skill that he chose to learn. Right now, if you are an entrepreneur or solopreneur specifically trying to grow, trying to scale, I promise you, if you look at your calendar and you audit your day, the biggest things that are hindering growth are things like inbox and calendar management, right? Booking on your own calendar, admin and scheduling, basic customer service, which always takes up a majority of your time. When you only have a few clients, likely you're taking on clients that might not be the best or are very demanding. And ultimately that takes up so much of your day. Well, that kind of means you can't scale, you can't grow, and you can't do sales most efficiently. And ultimately, to have the best virtual assistant, they must be AI trained. You see, AI has now given us the power or a superpower to become 2 to 5 times more efficient than we were ever before. Meaning your VA can now do the job of 2 or 3 people in the same amount of time for the same amount of hours. It actually allows you to do my first hiring tip. if you're going to hire a virtual assistant, you might as well hire the best one. If they are AI trained from the get-go, you can allow them to do a little bit more than you would traditionally allow a virtual assistant to do, which means you're okay paying $1 or $2 premium per hour because it allows you to have the best person in that role possible, as opposed to hiring 2 or 3 that would be a little bit lower per hour and of course a lot more expensive because, well, 3 outweighs 1. And this was a tough one for me. I didn't really think I would put this so high up so early on, but it's totally true. A content creator is arguably the most important individual in your startup journey, aside from your virtual assistant. Okay, a content creator, I'm going to call this person a content creator, but they're really a video editor or a creative strategist, if you will, someone who you can kind of work with to help build that organic brand. Because this is the one thing that I didn't do. I put this so high because over the last 7 years, it's something that I failed to do every time I started a business. And in fact, it was probably one of the reasons that I didn't see success until most recently. And most recently, I mean in the last year, where I've started to create a little bit of content and understood the value of it. I've spent over $5 million on ads, and my businesses have scaled via paid media specifically because, well, that's what we focus on, right? That's who we are. That is what we do. And I didn't realize that building an authentic brand, building an organic brand would allow me to scale my business to a point where every time I start a new business, it would ultimately allow me to scale quicker because people liked me, I wanted to follow my journey, and ultimately would buy from me. Okay, so this content creator, this video editor can help you do several things. Number one is daily and weekly content, making sure that they're on you, making sure you're creating content, they're editing it, and you're posting it organically because you need to build the number 2 chain of command for client acquisition, which is, well, arguably number 1, but I'll say number 2 because it's the slowest burn, right? It's content creation, it's organic growth. So other than ads, which you must do if you're even a B2B or B2C business, you must be running, you should be running a paid acquisition strategy. Your organic needs to be content. It needs to be you talking about who you are, what you do, and who you help, because ultimately you need to become likable. And yes, this does kind of insinuate key man risk, meaning when you're building an organic brand and it's all about you and your company, then if you left, your business would fail. That's not what I mean. I mean, creating a personal brand that would allow you to optimize growth inside of your company because you have something that other people want. People follow people, not companies. Remember that. Step 3, or phase 2, the revenue engine. The number 1 person that I would hire after I've got my admin and my content figured out is my sales specialist. Someone who is an absolute dog as a closer. They can come in and they can convert immediately. I'm talking about an SDR, not a BDR. Someone who wants to be like a full scope from start to finish closer who can do it just as well as you. Here's the caveat. You'll say to yourself, well, nobody closes as well as me. It's my business. I'm the best. You would be correct, but you don't need someone like you. You need someone better than you. Someone who is their sole purpose, their sole goal is to become a salesperson and understand your business so they can convert more traffic. Now, I will say, nobody will trust you or your offer more than yourself, but this salesperson needs to be like second in command in that realm of reasoning. They need to understand that you and the business come first, meaning what you're offering, they believe in so much that they can sell with conviction and actually convert. I would say between 70 and 80% of what you can convert, they should be able to convert, right? I'm not saying 70 to 80% of all leads, obviously, that would be ridiculous or awesome, depending on how you look at that. If you can close that, call it 70%, they should be able to close at 50 to 60, okay? Now, those numbers are obviously way off, but I'm saying in general, like if there's 100 people come in, you close 80, they should be able to close 50 to 60, okay? Because you'll always have more conviction, you'll always know more about the offer, and you can make decisions that they can't make because you are obviously the owner, the founder, right? This individual will come in, you can give them a low base or go commission only. I've done both. My best sales reps have always been commission only closers. They make more, obviously. I've had some low base guys just to cover their expenses. Some people need it and they are good. There are exceptions. I would say that a majority of the closers that I've had are all commission based because they're really good at what they do. Okay, but you are in charge of traffic, right? So you need to make sure that you have enough traffic coming in, either organically or paid, to make sure you're filling the calendar of these individuals. Okay, so you need to stop being the salesperson in your business, because ultimately it does kind of decrease the value or status delta of you in that business. If every individual coming in is talking to the founder, it does give them a little bit more of a leg to stand on, right? It gives them a little bit more of a bargaining chip to want for a discount or whatever with you. So I would highly recommend getting that closer in the door quickly. Okay, now you'll see here, I have marketing and lead gen second, and then I have customer success kind of in the 4 or 5 slot. I would say they're interchangeable. I want marketing and lead gen because I'm a marketing lead gen guy. If you're going to hire a sales specialist, you should probably hire a marketer as well, simultaneously, or one before the other, because you need to make sure you have traffic. Now, if you don't have traffic, hiring a salesperson probably isn't the best thing to do, because they have nobody to close. You need to make sure that you solve for client acquisition, right? And solving for client acquisition means you have a predictable lead flow source that you have leads coming in every day, so predictably, and that could be organic, could be paid, etc. Could be Google, could be Facebook, it doesn't matter. You need to be able to have traffic every single day that's coming in. So if you know you're spending $3,000 a month on ads, how many leads do you get, right? Do you get 150 leads? What's your customer acquisition cost? What's your CPL? All these things need to be tracked from the beginning of your company. If there's one takeaway outside of the hiring here that I can give to you, is that you need to make sure you're tracking your sales metrics, right? Sales and marketing metrics. How much are you spending? How much does it cost to get a lead? What is your conversion rate, right? I'll give you all the metrics, okay? How much are you spending, right? What's your ad spend? What is your customer acquisition cost? Track those two things predominantly right now, because ultimately there's probably 10, 15 different KPIs to track. Those are the two most important. It means if you spend $3,000, you know how much you're making, right? You know how many appointments you get and your closing rate, right? So if you know that I'm spending $3,000, I'm getting this many people acquired through that many ads, right? Then you can kind of hone in those KPIs from there. What did it cost me to get, a showed appointment, right? Because it's like, if you have 20 appointments booked, those can be phantom numbers. You spent $3,000 to get, call it 50 appointments. Great. Out of those 50 appointments, how many showed? Because then you'll get to see where the leak is. Is the leak in the marketing? Is it in the operations? Is it in the messaging on the landing page? What is the leak? And you'll be able to kind of patch that as you go, okay? But that's another video. We'll get into that in a little bit. This individual will be responsible for paid ads and funnels, right? Email and SMS follow-ups. This person's a specialist, not a generalist VA, someone who knows to go high level, someone who knows your CRM, whatever you're using, and that can do these things and optimize it for you, okay? Okay, so step 4, arguably one of the most important things that you will ever do is your customer success manager. I put this number 6 in the 6 hole. I think I might even go number 4 here, but I put them interchangeably because customer success is what bogs you down the most. When someone gives you money, they automatically expect you to be at their beck and call. And you'll find that a majority of clients that give you a little bit of money will want the world, and the clients that pay you 10 grand will be like, yeah, tell me when it's done. Hopefully I get the result I want. Thanks. Right? So that is important to know. The one big mistake that I made was not hiring an operations manager. I didn't know what that ops manager meant or what it would be to me. This individual came in and was immediately responsible for a lot in my company, so it was tough to trust them. And things they did for me was help me refine the SOPs, so the standard operating procedures, right? And the processes that would allow me to scale inevitably to over $1 million. They would keep my team accountable daily, because I would wake up and I would always message the team and do these things, and that was kind of my routine. And then I would get really bogged down because I'd have everybody on every single team ask me about, specialized things within their division, right? Operations, fulfillment, marketing, sales, etc. And I was becoming like a manager of all of them, and ultimately that was my goal, was my job at the time. But it really put a cap on my growth because I couldn't get past that level of where we were at, right? Between that 500, 700K a year mark, right? So this person owns hiring and onboarding as well. This person kind of becomes the mini version of you, right? If you could replicate yourself, this would be who this individual is at a really high level. So obviously not to the level or extent that you are, but taking over things in your company that would allow them to kind of manage, oversee, where you oversee them and you're focused on growth or whatever your specialty is, right? So if you're a sales specialist, you want to be in the sales role, right? If you're watching this and you are a product-led or an operational-led founder and you suck at sales, not your thing, then yeah, you want that person to kind of manage the sales team that's a little bit better, right? So do play on your strengths. That's really, really important. And of course, I won't dive too deep into that, but the customer success role, obviously, it explains itself. They need to be responsible for onboarding with clients, talking to new clients, ensuring that clients are happy, right? Responding to emails, taking phone calls, that kind of stuff too. Refunds, things that reduce churn, that allow you to make sure that clients are always, I won't say happy because clients are never always happy, but make sure that it reduces the friction between the client and the outcome, because ultimately when someone buys something, they expect the world. And if you have 50 clients, then you can't give every single one of them the world, right? You can do your best, and of course, a lot of that is in marketing, positioning, and sales. But the CS team is super, super important because they handle everything after the money comes in. So last thing I'll say there is that there's kind of two divisions of this. Sales and client success do work kind of hand in hand. When you are looking at prospects, right, people have not paid you yet, that's a sales job. When you have collected revenue or collected money, right, a single dollar from the now client that has signed a contract to give you new money, pass that to the client success team. Their job is not sales oriented. The sales team is focused on conversion, where the client success is totally focused on retention. So you need to make sure that when the sales team is kind of like a hungry dog trying to convert everybody, the client success team comes in there and says, thanks, I know you've already given us your credit card, you're already a client, come on, let me help you. So it totally switches up to kind of the client's way of thinking, right? So that is really, really important. Okay, here was two of the most difficult hires for me. Number one was finance and accounting. I'm not a finance guy. I suck at it, right? I'm a tech and marketing and sales guy, and I just bought a ton of tech. And what I didn't know is that you need to track. I knew it. I knew I had to track it. I just didn't do it very well. I used different emails because I had 3 different emails. I had a million different tech products. Ultimately, I wouldn't realize that clients didn't pay sometimes. We got to a point where we were scaling really quickly, and I had 3 or 4 clients that didn't pay me, and we were still performing tasks for them. Super dumb on my behalf. I would never do that again. One of the things that I would hire quicker was my finance and accounting team. This is such a myth that it's expensive to do. You could hire somebody like a bookkeeper from the Philippines, which we have a ton of at Key Players, for $800 to $1,000 a month. And they can handle all your AR, AP, right? So accounts receivable, right? Accounts payable, right? Money coming in, money coming out. They can handle all that for you, right? So that's the kind of stuff that you need to hire. Not first, but when you have a little bit of revenue come in the door, when you're at that, 5 to 700K, I would even do it beforehand. Truthfully, I think we did it at around 40K a month, so around 500K a year, roughly ish, was when we were like, hey, we need to go really serious into having a finance team, because we had a lot of money coming in, money coming out. We had a lot of expenses too, and that kind of stuff. And then tech and AI specialists. So I kind of played this role for a long time because I really liked it, and I was learning more about tech, as you guys can tell by the videos. But I'm not an engineer. So my company is heavily dependent on AI and technology, and I was building a lot. It's something that I enjoyed doing, but there's a lot of things that I didn't know, security measures. I did row level security for my apps. I had no idea how to do. So bringing on a CTO was my kind of the biggest hire that I made as of recent. Expensive, but very, very, very good, because it helps me with a lot of stuff, right? By revenue, I mean yes, it helps me add on more revenue streams, but predominantly actually helps me increase the lifetime value per client, because I can now upsell them on tools that we have that are actually helping them. We have so many clients that are just like, oh my God, you built that. Key Command is one of our big tools that I kind of started, and then my CTO came over and redid the whole thing. So that's a huge thing. And then integrating AI into every division of my company. So you saw we just hired your finance team, we hired your operations manager, we hired your client success team, we hired your sales specialist, hired your marketing. All of these 5-6 divisions require some sort of AI and technology integration, because it makes their job even easier, right? So as opposed to hiring 2 or 3 people per pod or per role, you don't need to anymore. You can hire one person that can do the job of 2 or 3 because of AI and technology. Okay, I'll leave you with this, right? Don't hire too late, because then you're constantly kind of at scale, and then you're going kind of in the basement as well. Meaning, if you're past the point of where you should have hired, you're likely picking up speed elsewhere, which means you inevitably won't be able to continue that growth rate, because the person that you didn't hire, unfortunately, isn't there to solve the problem or fill the hole that they were going to fill, right? Don't hire cheap, overqualified. That was the biggest mistake that I made in business, was hiring cheap. Hiring overseas is great. We have a whole overseas business. Almost everybody's overseas. We have a lot. They're less expensive than someone who works beside me, but not cheap. There is ways to go cheap, and I would not do that. If you have no onboarding process, if you bring them in, you're like, oh, you're great at sales. See you later. Good job. Good luck. You're gonna screw yourself. Don't do that. Have an onboarding process. There's no reason that you don't have onboarding SOPs now with the onset of Claude and ChatGPT. I'm sure you guys all have used ChatGPT or Claude in some capacity. You need to make sure that when you're using AI, you're documenting processes. And I would highly recommend, and you can watch my video about projects, right? Claude projects, because it constantly remembers who you are in your business. It never forgets. You can have a million conversations with Claude projects. As long as you have it in the same project, it'll constantly update its memory. Right? I know I'm talking fast. What I mean by that is every time you have something go on in your business, put that into a Claude project or ChatGPT project, because you need to make sure that when you do bring somebody on, they can learn from these projects as well. Okay? And if you don't have clear KPIs, a key performance indicator, there's nothing, that you're saying, hey, Johnny, come on and be my sales guy. If you're going to get 100 leads, you better close X amount, right? Or make sure that you marketing team, make sure you reduce our customer acquisition cost by 20%, whatever the number is. These are metrics and KPIs that you have to kind of dive into with every division. Client success has to reduce churn, right? The goal to bring everybody in and build this team is for the KPIs and metrics that you currently have, which you must already have, you were to reduce those. If you don't have them, then you need to create them with this new team and drive them down, because they just won't be optimized from the get-go. Okay, what I would do is I would hire about 90 days, but 3 months before needing that person, to kind of foreshadow. So you're like, I'm picking up speed on sales. I'm going through that right now, right? I have got 5 sales guys. We're picking up speed. They're all super busy every day. So now I'm going to hire 2-3 more sales guys and fill their calendars eventually, right? Because I know that I can spend more money, because now we have a process where I know how much money I'm spending, and I know if I'm spending $10,000 a month, how many leads I'm getting on my team's calendar, how many book calls, right? So I know that if I spend another $10,000, I can hire the same amount of salespeople, etc. It becomes replicable, okay? Pay for outcomes, not hours, right? So have some sort of performance bonus as well for everybody on their team. Client success would be retention rate, for example, right? Or client satisfaction report, CSAT surveys. Sales obviously being, pretty evident. Marketing, again, evident, right? Making sure that we have amount of followers or engagement, or the customer CAC, customer acquisition cost goes down. There are many things you want them to hit as well. Again, ask Claude or ChatGPT. Build a 30, 60, 90-day plan with them, so it kind of hit milestones and goals, because if you let them come in and they're suboptimal, meaning you're not giving them the time that they need to be able to kind of hit certain metrics, it's kind of like a recipe for disaster, but you need to have like a plan, right, every month for the first 3 to 4 months, to say, hey, here are my goals, here are your goals, and kind of put them into these sprints so you guys can effectively scale. It kind of puts dangles the carrot at the end of the treadmill, if you will, to help them kind of like get to that point and achieve that and grow with you, right? Makes them more incentivized as well. 1 sentence, 3 metrics per role, right? The fix is like, what are you here to do? And here are the 3 fixes that I need from you, and that is it. So I'm hiring customer service. Example, I need you to help reduce my churn by X amount. So your job is to come in and reduce churn by this much. That is your goal. Okay? And you set goals that are tangible for all of these individuals. If this video helped you, I appreciate you guys watching. Leave a comment below. Let me know what we can make better in these videos, or what else that you guys are looking to do in terms of team building or AI implementation or systems in your company, because a lot of people message us or ask us about how we hire for that next person, and they don't even know if the next person is the next person they need to hire. They just thought about it. So put a plan into action. Write down who you need to hire. Message us here on YouTube or on Instagram, or send us an email, and we'd love to help you guys for absolutely free. We're doing free help till 1,000 followers, 1,000 subscribers, to help you guys turn you into the leaders that you can be, not the leaders that you are. Okay? Enjoy.